Teleportation successful. Epic.
The springtime is usually in polar opposites for me. Some years I am starting the year off doing so many things with so much free time that I always start live streaming again and have a bajillion things happening at once that I inevitably can't keep up with by the summer. The past couple years, maybe because my kiddo's in school and things have been super hectic with birthdays and Easter parties and into school year celebrations and all that jazz, I sometimes end up in this position where I have basically done nothing at all for the past couple months and I'm just scrambling to get to summer so I can actually get back to doing the things I enjoy. And that is how this year went, which also means I have not been playing very many video games for the past couple months, but what I have been playing has mostly been Overwatch with my wife. We got sucked back in. They have renamed it from Overwatch 2 to Overwatch 1. And at the time of recording, there's even a 10-year anniversary Overwatch Classic event where we get to see what kind of a mess the game launched in. Some parts I miss a lot, some parts, I don't remember how bad it was. But as we are getting towards summer, I am thinking more and more about how I want to get back my normal gaming time. I want to make progress on the games I was working on and try to figure out how to get there, because anytime I have a moment to relax, gaming just feels like it has too much friction. It feels like there's too much in the way, and I don't do it. So here are some ways that I am implementing that have worked for me in the past and that other people have suggested to reduce friction with getting into gaming, specifically kind of single-player gaming, but honestly, this applies to just about any hobby. First step is to break it into small tasks. Instead of just thinking, I'm gonna hop in today and make progress on this 100-hour video game. That's a lot. I struggle with this with my normal daily to-do list. I'm like, task 1, make a video. It takes a lot to make a video, especially a main channel video where I gotta script it and be on camera and shoot B-roll and edit and all that jazz. That's not one task. Break it into smaller tasks, into smaller chunks. For gaming specifically, instead of I'm gonna make a vague amount of progress that I feel good about in this 100-hour game, maybe just I'll talk to the next NPC, or let's just manage my inventory for a few minutes. So if nothing else, the next time I get on, that step of friction is gone. Do something to reduce the dauntingness of the task itself of jumping into a game, but also to just, make a commitment to yourself to just do a thing. Maybe it's complete one quest. Maybe it's move to this city because you really just didn't feel like walking there the other day. Maybe it's look up a guide on this part you were stuck at so that you know what to do next time you do hop in. Second one is a kind of goofy strategy, and it feels weird to apply to gaming, but hear me out. It's to use a Pomodoro timer. A Pomodoro timer technique is to basically set a timer. You can get special timers for this or just set one on your phone or on a web app, computer app, whatever, for 10 to 20 minutes. And the idea with the full technique, and I never actually do this, but it's meant for deep focus tasks when you're actually working, is that you set a timer for, say, 20 minutes, then you set one for 5 minutes, take a break, then come back for another 20 minutes, and you're supposed to have this pristine, unfiltered, flow state work. The problem is once I get into flow state, I don't want to leave it, and that's when I'm most productive. The goal is to achieve that flow state, be it with work, a hobby, or gaming. Getting into that flow state where time just flies by, that's what you want. So what I do is I trick myself. I set the timer, and most of the time, if I get into it, timer goes off, I just turn it off and keep playing. If I'm not into it, I use that opportunity to take a break. Stand up, walk out of the room, go to the bathroom, get you some new water, take a walk for a minute, physically separate yourself from the game, physically separate yourself from the environment, and give your mind a chance to catch up. You can loop this in with the feelings test that we talk about. I'll talk about that in a moment. But give your brain a moment to really kind of process for a second, and you will either find that, I'm not feeling it, time to pick a new game or to just not game for that session, or you're like, wait a minute, no, I still have that other thing to do. Maybe this is the way I can finish that boss battle, and you get that itch right away as soon as you separate. That's when you know you've got the good stuff. Even if you weren't feeling it in the moment, you can hop right back in and probably do great. Again, I'm not a huge advocate of the Pomodoro technique in general because I just don't like interrupting my flow state, but using it as a way to trick yourself to get into that flow state, it's so much easier to convince yourself to try something for just 10, 15, 20 minutes and have a window to back out if you're not having fun than to just expect to eat up your whole hour, 2 hour, 4 hour gaming session. The next one is just regulating your actual game queue, the games that you have in front of you. Only keep a couple games installed. Whatever games you want to work on, just keep those couple games installed, or if they're physical games, keep the other ones put away on a shelf somewhere out of the way so that they're not weighing on you, but also you don't really have much choice because a lot of the friction is built up and a lot of the apprehension or just procrastination shows up when you're shopping for games, and not shopping just to buy, but shopping to, like, window shopping to just pick out to play. If you have 20 games installed and you pull up your list and you're like, I could play any one of these, then it kind of sits in. I have to pick any one of these. Whereas if you just have two that you regularly come back to, it's a lot easier to just hop in without even thinking about it. Next up seems kind of silly, but I think it's very important, and that is to track your progress in a game or journal your game experience. And this doesn't need to be like a Dear Diary, today I slayed 5 orcs and got 10 XP. Or if that is what you want, go for it. You could role play it from your character's perspective in the game. You could just make a to-do list and then check things off a to-do list. You could just be like, hey, finish this. Remember that this is the code for this door, or this red key is over here for later. Some sort of little handwritten note for yourself. You could do it digitally, but handwritten usually, interacts with your memory a bit better. You get that physical memory going. And then reward yourself when you get to certain points in the game. Make like a little tracker. I need to do this quest, this quest, this quest, or this game has 8 levels. Every time you check one off, reward yourself in some way. Be it a break, YouTube time, doom scrolling time. Treating that as a reward rather than the default is actually really helpful. Or a piece of candy, a nice drink, whatever. And really just kind of incentivize yourself. And then by having the physical tracker or journal of your progress, you're able to kind of look back on it. And especially during your downtime when you're not actually gaming, just being able to kind of finger back through your notebook of stuff you've done really keeps it in your memory and gets ideas going. We make our best and most creative decisions when we are connecting old ideas, and just having that in front of you instead of the decision of what game to play or whether to play or not being in the front of your mind, going back through what you've done so far and what excited you the most has a huge impact. Next up is the feelings test itself. This is a process to analyze how you feel about a video game. Sorry if you heard my cat there. Think about how you're going to feel about it before you play. Think about how you're feeling while you're playing, and then think about how it actually made you feel at the end. Write these things down and reflect after a gaming session. Were your expectations met? How are you actually left feeling? How would it feel on a day when you didn't play? Look at your feelings and determine whether your hobby is actually meeting your needs, your expectations, and fulfillment, or if it's just an obligation that's really dragging you along at this point. If you're really struggling to get yourself to go back to a game or start a specific game you had planned on playing, track it on a calendar. Put marks, get a paper calendar, make a little graph in your notebook, make like a sticker chart. Like sticker charts were huge for getting my kid potty trained a couple years ago. And I even used one. I had a medical procedure where I had to do like a week-long prep of different steps. And I just made my own little sticker chart. My kid will help me pick out stickers in my notebook so that I really felt good about myself every time I completed one of the really crappy things I had to do that day to get ready for that procedure. Track it on a calendar. If it's been 2 weeks or a month where you've just been choosing other games and not this one that you're really expecting yourself to play, uninstall it. Put it in a box if it's physical. Back up your save before you do this, but just uninstall it, put it in a box, get it away. Let distance help. Sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder, and maybe by having the pressure of it just being completely put away, you might find yourself running back to it. Or you might not. And that's life. Similarly with distance, spend time on other hobbies. It's a lot harder to really feel invested in new games, specific games, or whatever when it's all you're doing day in and day out. I have a whole separate video on how much more fulfilling gaming can be and how much more exciting it can be when you have other things going on in your life. When you have other things occupying your time, fulfilling you in other ways, gaming doesn't have to pull all that weight. And so the things gaming can do, it excels so much more at. An alternate thing you can do if you really just want to give yourself a nice time is to replay games that you love, games that you know are a good time every time you load into them. For me, that's Pokemon 3rd gen, sometimes Pokemon 2nd gen. I just know them like the back of my hand. Super comfy, cozy game for me. Skyrim, Halo campaigns, jumping into old school RuneScape again and just clicking some wood cutting or whatever. Mass Effect. Jump into those kinds of games instead of the ones that you're feeling pressure for. Relieve that pressure. Put yourself in a good headspace for gaming. And you will probably have, what's often referred to, like, say, with Minecraft, the 2-week Minecraft obsession come back. But once you are past that, it'll probably spark interest in a different game to play and kind of eliminate that friction. Sometimes adding in basically an obstacle in order to do the thing that you're trying to convince yourself to do, it feels like there's less friction because you've effectively earned it by doing something else. You could find a new way to play, something I have to do from time to time, and this also applies to writing. I'll have a video coming on main channel about that, is sometimes I just have to completely shift up the way that I play video games all the time. Sometimes I am all in on the desk setup. I want those high PC frame rates, high 4K resolution, great graphics. I want keyboard, mouse, maximum APM. Sometimes I am just playing nonstop at the TV. I want to relax on the couch, chill with the controller. And sometimes I am squeezing in 5-10 minutes everywhere I can on my Steam Deck, trying to play those quick little session games as quick as possible. And what's interesting is these are not, I don't have game time spread across the entire day where I'm doing all of these. Often it's a month or two where I'm just doing one of those things. And by identifying and then going all in on the mode that just feels right to play, it's so much easier. Even if it is something that in another time that, like, say, pulling it up on the TV would be a more friction way to play, sometimes that's just what it feels like. And so I like having different options for how I can play. And obviously that could mean investing in hardware, and I don't want to tell you to spend money to solve your gaming problem, because you shouldn't. The last thing you should be doing if you're not gaming enough is to spend more money on gaming. But there are ways you can introduce life changes or hook things up differently or whatever to give yourself a different mode of playing that might feel better. Ultimately, just remember that it's just a hobby. It's your leisure time. You're supposed to just relax and have fun. You don't owe anyone anything. If you just feel too much resistance to playing a specific game or to playing a set of games or playing games at all, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The spark will come back. Sometimes, like I said before, you just need a break. Sometimes you just need to do whatever you can to relieve the pressure. And that means accepting that it's not going to happen right now. Again, this is all advice for myself as I try to get back into gaming outside of Overwatch, because Overwatch has been awesome. I've had some amazing clips. I've been really enjoying this. My wife and I have always just kind of enjoyed having this thing together, but I have been missing the single-player games we were working on. I've still got to play back through Mass Effect since my Xbox One X died and ate my Mass Effect Legendary Edition save, so that I can get back into... I was like halfway through Mass Effect 2, so I got to play back through those so I can get on to 3. I've got to finish up my Dragon Age Origins expansion DLC so I can move on to Dragon Age 2. We were playing Horizon Forbidden West, Red Dead Redemption. We got lots of stuff we were playing, so I want to get back to that. I want to figure out where I'm at. And, of course, I have a million session games and retro games and whatever that are always on my to-do list. And this is the set of steps, basically, that I'm implementing to try to get there. Let me know what works for you in the comments below. Join us on the forums, demodisc.zone. Much better place to chat about this stuff, including podcast topics come up there all the time for the Dualcom podcast. That's, again, demodisc.zone. I do have some physical media stuff for the podcast coming soon. Stay tuned for that. Hope you all have been well, and remember to be kind. Rewind.